Well, hey, welcome to the show before the show, where I check to make sure everything's working, and I certainly hope it is. I'm your host, Patrick Marlette, your local game guy, and this is co-host Will, also local
Up.
gamer. Hey, it's been, I think, 2 weeks, and stuff isn't getting any less busy for me, but I'm so happy I was able to produce some content for you guys. If you didn't watch any shorts on YouTube today, a couple went out. Proud of myself. I've been meaning to put more short content out there. You should also see something from me hopefully soon elsewhere. Maybe. I don't know. But that would be great. But Bloomburrow, the set I'm very excited about. We are going to be covering it pretty in depth as we go into August. August 2nd, I believe, is the official release date. So get hyped. There's been a lot of really good spoils. Will and I have had the privilege of taking a gander at this set already. And I honestly think, and I could say this, I'm pretty sure, I've not written down more notes for more cards in a while. There's like a lot of good stuff from this set. And I stopped my previous list before I even got to the commander stuff. Surprise, surprise. There's some pretty good stuff in there too. But earlier, we covered in our shorts, thank you, Will, for the scripts. If you ever wonder, Will is the wizard behind those. We covered 3 legendaries from the set. They're all bangers. I think we'll probably do Hugs in the future. I know that there was some interest in the comments there to see a Hugs list. I think Will would be interested in making a Hugs
I
list.
I already brewed a list. I just need to do the land base, and we can put that in the description of the short
Oh,
if we
yeah.
want. Because for those who don't know, we are doing SCG Baltimore, SCG Con Baltimore in a bit less than a month, about 2 to 3 weeks, and in preparation for that, we want to try to play some games and get into the groove, get what we need to do down with our decks so that we can be prepared to play some cEDH up there. And we're going to try, if possible, to do more gameplay, which may involve using or doing less deck techs. So in lieu of that, I'm going to be brewing pretty much every single notable legendary from this set and trying to make it so that we can have a link to a deck for them in each of the descriptions of the shorts where we mention them.
Yes. Yes. So you should expect to see those. I know a lot of people always ask in the comments after seeing a legendary when we highlight one, hey, is there a
Deck
list?
tech?
I know. And it's like, well, it did just get announced. But yes, there could be. I'm going to do my best to just keep up to date with that. So if you want to see a deck tech, maybe we can even put it in the Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the description here. And there is a spot called the Cauldron. I believe we still call it that. In Magic the Gathering page. You can check there. I'll task Will with just dropping those links there too. So if you want to see anything from Bloomburrow, it should be there. It should be in those videos, which I will update for you guys. But as Will said, we're going to be doing a lot of gameplay moving forward. We're inviting people over to play, but they are still open play for the most part. So if you are here for a Friday, I think that can be true. If you're here for a Friday night Magic session, which will go up on the channel tomorrow morning, you're more than welcome to participate in the gameplay. It'll be like first come, first serve. Obviously, if we have a pot of 4, we're going to play through that. If they're an invited guest out, we'll probably let them play for a while. But we'll be at it for a good while as well. It's like Will said, we're practicing for this upcoming event. So if you're attending, let us know. If you want to play, let us know. But today's video is very much about Bloomburrow, which I think is not legal when we do this event,
I
because
don't think it's going to be legal in SCG Con Baltimore for the events. If it is, there are going to be some cards that have not been spoiled yet that people are going to have to snap by to play well. Well, not play well in the event, but we got some new staples that we haven't seen yet.
yeah, I think so. Hey, like if you like this video. But we've got a bunch of new mechanics and keywords to discuss. 5, 6, if I'm not mistaken. Will, pop quiz, what are they?
It is Forage, Offspring, the Paw command mechanic, whatever you want to call that.
Podular.
Yeah. So Forage, Offspring, the Paw mechanic. Valiant, whatever the Nadu effect thing is, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Valiant. Expend? Expend or
Spend.
expand, whichever
Hmm.
that term is. And
Did you say the big one? You said Offspring.
I'm I'm blanking on
I
it.
think it's your favorite. It's Gift.
Oh, gift. Yeah,
Yeah.
duh. The one that is the best keyword that has been printed in the command, or the best mechanic in Commander or in Magic in a while.
Yeah, it's
Cannot believe I blanked on that. I love gift.
yeah, I mean, I guess we could start there too. So, the whole concept of today's video is we're going to touch on a few cards that illustrate this mechanic or keyword we're discussing. Obviously, 2 to 3 examples, some of the better ones in the set. If there are any that you would like to look at that have been spoiled, please let us know and we can take a gander at them. This isn't a set review. We'll do a set review in the future. This is just to get you guys up to date with everything from the set. So, on that note, gifting, Will, we can take a look at Dewdrop Cure for this because it's right there. 2 generic and a white, sorcery speed, gift a card. It's very weird how this is all worded, but this is how it works. You may promise an opponent a gift as you cast the spell. If you do, they draw a card before its other effects. Okay, so they do have options while the actual effect is on the stack. That's important to note. This is
Well,
part
it's part of the resolution,
of
but
the
step
cast.
one is they get blank.
Right. So it's not always a card. It could be other things, and I'm sure we'll see examples. Return up to 2 target creature cards, each with mana value 2 or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. I really like this. If the gift was promised instead, and you can't break your promise, okay, you can't break your promise once you make it. Instead, return up to 3 target creature cards, each with mana value 2 or less, from the graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know. This is I think I took a note on Dewdrop Cure that it's a good card. I don't know about you,
Yeah,
Will.
Dewdrop Cure is pretty good just due to the fact that you can reanimate a lot of small creatures that either give a good amount of value or stacks out the game. If you're returning that Dranet Bad straight, you are pissing some people off, and I feel like that is a good metric on
Right.
how well you're doing in a Magic game.
Yeah, the only thing shy of that is if it was like sorted, out of play. If it was exiled, but elsewise, like you're just gonna all your disgusting stacks, just get it back. But this plays really well into a lot of those lists that you manipulate hate bears, because in general, the good ones are like 2 or less. Speaking of, I forgot to buy Doorkeeper Thrall. Is he 2 costs?
He's two. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't like, is this Murders at Karlov Manor? I know a lot of people didn't like this set. I know. This is still a really good card though. Okay, anyway, moving on. Yeah, so gift. Let's find a different example of gift we could take a gander of. This
Well,
one,
we got the probably best gift card that's been spoiled up to date, Dawn's Truce.
yeah, it might be one of the better cards from the set too. Yeah, this
Yeah,
alt art is amazing, by the way. But another white one, and they're both
yeah.
banners. You can read this one.
And
Will.
Dawn's Truce is once again gift a card, but it is for 1 a white and it's an instant. And it says you and your permanents gain hexproof until the end of the turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control gain indestructible until the end of the turn. This is heroic intervention, except you have to pay a little tax to get the indestructible and stuff, and it makes your face hexproof, which is kind of relevant.
Mhm.
The reason why this is the best gift card in the set so far is because it is gift a card and it's on an instant, so you can deck out a Thoracle player in response to their combo.
Right. I don't know how many instants got gifted card. This is one of them.
Two of them, and one of them is Japanese, so we don't have like the exact, or not Japanese, which no, it's
Language.
Treasure for Trash. We can go over that after talking about Dawn's Truce, because I feel like you might want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a good white card. It's everything Will said. Like, heroic intervention's great. Not a lot of people play that card. It's still good. I think 2 mana for this feels high if you're playing in a cEDH setting, but I do agree with everything Will said. Again, like the gifted card aspect, you may promise them this. It's not optional for them. Like, once you elect to give someone a gift, there's no, I won't say it. There's no returning that gift. Is there a more PC way of saying that these days? There's no returning the gift to your opponent. So they do have
No
to
receipt. No receipt.
No
You can't
receipt.
bring it in for store credit.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
are
yeah.
taking
No,
that gift.
no gift receipts on Dawn's Truce. But yeah, it's hexproof. You won't often need the destructible on top of that unless there's like a mass destructible or mass destroy thing happening. And if so, then choose the opponent that will likely not benefit the most from a singular draw, right? Maybe like the control player as opposed to the turbo player, right?
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, it's a great
you
card.
can also use it to just bring an opponent back into the game so that everybody has to focus their threats in another direction. So gifting a card has more utility outside of, oh no, it's a downside. And that's why I love the gift effects, because in a 4-player game, gifting something is a lot of the times an upside.
I agree. I agree. I agree. And again, it depends. Like, if everyone's doing just gross, selfish, obnoxious things, then maybe not giving him a card is the best thing in the world. Trying to think of what else you could do to putt someone else's strategy. I mean, I guess with infamous Cruelclaw, which we just saw, if you know they just top deck tutored the thing they want, you can like gift them the PETA before they go to play
Yeah.
the card off the top. That would be hilarious. So there are other implications, right? But by and by, the effect is really good. We can take a look at another gift card that doesn't have that specific text, though. Not gift a
Yeah.
card. I just want to show you guys. Gift is usually like the top most text of any of these cards. So I give you one. A majority, I will say, is the funny one that is in the thumbnail. I want to find it. I think it's a little bit earlier. But there's one that's gift of fish. Wait,
Yeah, I was trying to find that one because I
gift
saw
a
that
tapped
earlier.
fish. Here you go.
Yeah.
I thought this was
Which it's I hate that it's gift a tapped fish because I would love to use it as a combat trick and just say, "Oh, you attack that guy with your mana dork so that you can trigger Timna." Fish.
Yeah. It's so good though, man. I like that it's like flopping around on its side. I think maybe that's what they thought. Or giving someone a blocker at instant speed is pretty bad. Because obviously Parting Gust, if we read the card, exile target non-token creature. If the gift wasn't promised, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it at the beginning of the end step. So this can function in two ways. It could be a combat trick to remove a potential blocker, and then they get a potential blocker in the future, or attacker with that blue fish token. This obviously couldn't remove any previous fish tokens. Or you can use it to bring your own thing back as a form of protection with a +1/+1 counter on it. And if counters are relevant to your deck, namely +1/+1s, this is really good. I mean, this is a really good uncommon with a really cheeky effect. And I think my favorite art from the set, and it's crazy because Nils he's usually on cards I like, but I just feel like this is so different than what I see from him. At any rate, it's in the thumbnail. You saw it. I really like the card.
Yeah. I dislike that it's exile a creature for 2 white because it's
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate that it's not as good as Swords to Plowshare Path to Exile, but it has protection utility, so
Oh,
trade-off.
I will definitely want to draft and just play the set sealed. So, like building around some of the core concepts and like the mechanics for the set are going to be very, very fun. Gifting in particular is sort of just like I don't want to say it's tacked on. It's fun for the set and it does a lot, but it's not as interesting as some of the other effects we get to play with. I think for like us players, there's a lot of just like good staple gift cards that we've seen, but playing
I,
this set like raw, like a draft
it's gonna
setting,
be
yeah.
yeah.
There's some other
Uh,
stuff.
I think the reason why I love Gift so much is because one of my favorite pet cards is a Pulse Mage Advocate. That's
Mm.
the 3 mana tap to reanimate any creature from your graveyard, but give target player 3 cards from their graveyard to their hand, or target opponent 3 cards from their graveyard to their hand. So it's like a give somebody an upside to get a bigger upside style effect. So that's kind of why I like gift effects. I really, really like gift effects.
I agree with you. I agree with you on all fronts. Unless there's any other gift cards you guys would like to look at, obviously you could bring up cards during the entirety of the stream you'd like to talk about. This is just a chill evening stream with you guys. Expect more short content here on the channel. Sean Plott, Day 9 TV, spoiled this one. Thanks for letting me know, Scryfall. But we're going to talk about Offspring next. I think there's a lot of cool Offspring cards. This is one of the ones that I think can be pretty broken. And there is a commander I'd like to look at, or a legendary, I should say, that I believe was spoiled. It was spoiled, right, Will?
Yeah, it
Okay,
was.
thank God. Okay, I didn't see it.
It's in the commander thing, so we're not going to see it in this Scryfall page, but we can hop over to the other one when we go over that card.
Yeah, I'm over here too. But I want to look at Offspring with you guys. We'll take a look at this card I have on screen first, but let me see if I could find its name is... God, I don't want to be wrong about this. Its name is Zinnia. Thank God. Okay, it's right there. We'll hop over to this page to look at Zinnia in a second. But Offspring. So this is Manifold Mouse. 1 generic and a red, 1/2 body, Mouse Soldier, Offspring. 2. You may pay an additional 2 mana as you cast the spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target mouse you control gains your choice of Double Strike or Trample until end of turn. This is pretty awesome. And not necessarily for Commander. I mean, maybe there's like a mouse tribal deck that exists now. But this is just a cool effect to have tacked onto a card. Like, when you're looking at cards, at least in a limited setting, I like cards that have value the entire length of the game, if possible. And Offspring gives you just that little bit of extra value. And obviously, it depends on what the card's doing. Manifold Mouse in a Commander setting, maybe not the best thing, but you can see how functionally it's really powerful here. We're next to another Offspring card that's a little bit better. I would say, at least in a Commander setting, Iridescent Vine Lasher. I'll skip Offspring, we know what it does. It's a little redundant to have 2, but landfall, whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, or enters, I'm sorry, it just says enters now. This creature deals 1 damage to target opponent. So, a finisher tacked on to a token copy, that's another finisher. I don't know.
Well, I also just want to say Obnixilis. Just ping, 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 ping.
This is true. Okay, so maybe it's not redundant. Maybe it's not win more in Obnixilis. You're right. But Will, thoughts on the Offspring mechanic? We'll jump over to Zinnia in a second.
It's pretty good. There's another Offspring card other than Zinnia that I do kind of like, and that's Tender Wild Guide. So it's 1 and a green for 2/2, Offspring for 2, and you can tap it for 1 mana of any color, and you can tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's basically just a self buffer that is an okay dork. Usually, when you see the 2 mana tap for any color dorks, they don't have like that great of a benefit to make them worth it. They've been getting better recently, but now they just say, "Oh, you don't want just 1, you want 2? Here's 2 and 1." I like it. Not fantastic, but it is one of the better 2 mana tap for any color dorks that we've gotten in a while.
No, I totally agree. And what's nice is that this operates at instant speed, so like it's a combat trick technically. So you can declare the block and then use this before damage. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
obviously
the tap to buff. Yeah.
Right, and they would be remiss if they didn't notice that. It would be a mistake to attack into this if it's up. But this is a great thing to just hold up 4 mana, right? And knowing that that threat is there, that it can make that trade very easily, is kind of sick. But Majra, I know it didn't have anything cEDH related, but the Bird Commander and the Bird Legendary are dope. Castrol looks like a better Bird Tribal Commander, even if I will play it in my Falco deck. So speaking of birds, though, Zinnia, Valley's Voice. We're going to be covering this just a little bit more in depth in a short, and I mean a little bit, they're 30 seconds. But we do get to the nitty gritty of what you can do with this deck, and we'll cover it here, I suppose. It's a Bird Bard, 1/3 flyer. Zinnia, Valley's Voice gets +X/+O, where X is the number of other creatures you control with a base power of 1. Other creatures. So, obviously this doesn't work off itself. It would be weird if it worked off itself. That's not what we're concerned about. Creature spells you cast have Offspring too.
Yeah, that's a pay 2 for a Panharmonicon, more or less, and can do a bunch of other things. The 2 really dumb things that you do is either multiply your stacks pieces by playing stacks, bouncing them, replaying and bouncing them, replaying and bouncing them, and offspringing every single time,
right,
or making a copy of a stacks piece and then copying the token with a populate. Yeah, populate's the mechanic.
It is. Well,
so that's,
yeah.
you
You're
can be brutal with that. But the dumb thing is, it's a Panharmonicon in the command zone, and we have things like Dockside and Shrieking Drake, so we can very easily get infinite treasures and infinite bounces and then win the game. And also, you get infinite 1/1 creature copies, so you'll have an army of infinite 1/1s if you don't have an outlet, and if you do have an outlet, you win the game.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
So and will means like a sack outlet or haste enabling. And the other thing is like if you just don't
or
have it and Zinnia's been there, you have a flyer that's like a
2
billion
billion, 2 billion.
and
But the
well
thing is,
a billion and three. A billion it
oh yeah,
only,
yeah, yeah.
but it will kill someone. It will kill at least one player, and then you just need to worry about two other players.
And also, anything becomes a win con with Zinnia because if
Yeah.
you do that whole Shrieking Drake Dockside thing, name an ETB draw creature.
Yeah.
Then you just go draw your deck. Good game.
Fact. Or I mean any other creature that has on play effect that just smashes face. I like this creature a lot. I think that this could be a very, very potent stacks mander specifically. Like Will was saying, I kind of like the idea of like rushing this out and then just making copies of the things your opponents hate. Generally speaking, we rely on a lot more of single target removal than mass removal. I would like to say in cEDH, we're getting better cards that have effects that expand the range, right? You know, more things like Cyclonic Rift, you know, single or multiple. Dam is the last big one I can think of. But there are a couple things that we play that will hit a mass board, but otherwise, like, we're going to keep repeating this process and making, you know, multiple tax effects, multiples of the stacks effects. It's very, very good. Or value
Yeah.
effects like Dockside, obviously.
Esper Sentinel. Do you pay the
Or
20?
yeah, right? Like Esper Sentinel is just gross here. Esper Sentinel is so good. Because yeah, all right. I
Yeah,
wanna do it.
this is like a non-green creature deck, and I love it. The
Yeah.
fact that if you run any kind of populate effect, and you can populate your populate effects to populate even faster, which is just a dumb kind of hilarity. But you'll eventually get to the point where if you have a populate effect and you populate it by itself a lot, you can go. I play glow skate. What is it called? Not glow skate. The tax, the 3 mana tax thing. That's the freaking Baron
Trinisphere?
Wingmare.
What?
We'll say Wingmare. Baron Wingmare.
Vryn Wingmare.
Yeah, Vryn Wingmare, and then you proceed to populate 20 times, making non-creature spells cost 20 more, locking every non-creature deck out of the game. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this bird. This bird is dumb.
Yeah, no, this deck is pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. I say this deck. We will I imagine has probably worked on one.
Yeah, I've not brewed it yet. I've got the general concept rolling around in here, but this might be the one we brew on stream if we do actually, if we do have the time to do live stream brews and we don't just need to devote all of our time to gameplay stuff.
Mhm.
But I will be having decks brewed for the shorts. I'm catching up on the 3 that we spoiled today. So
Yeah, yeah, and no rush there. Again, if you guys want to see those decks, I'll encourage you to join the Discord, and we can plug them over on the Discord as well. The Cauldron, and obviously they are just blueprints. You can take with take them, do what you will with them. I know a lot of people are sticklers about certain cards and certain decks, so do what you want. I think that covers Offspring for us. Obviously, if there's an Offspring card you want to talk about, guys, please let us know. Same thing goes for gifting, but. Hardfire Hero? Have you heard of Valiant before, Will?
uh, I'm pretty sure we just got a Simic Valiant commander that isn't once per turn. So yeah, I know Valiant.
Yeah, it's more or less Nadu's effect, but for not placing lands on the battlefield or putting cards into your hand. So, Hardfire Hero, 1 red, creature, mouse, soldier, 1/1 body. This works with Zinnia. Valiant. Whenever Heartfire Hero becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, you know what's even better is that Nadu will
Your
accept
opponent.
your opponent's stuff. Okay, I'm done. For the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a 2/2. This is one of those things that just gets progressively better, right? And this is something I would love to see in a limited setting, because any sort of combat trick is going to make it better. Obviously, only first time each turn. When Heartfire Hero dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Okay, why not? I'm not sure. There you go. That mouse tribal commander deck I was referring to. Maybe this is one of your early 1-drops. But this is pretty dope. Valiant, I don't believe has any other function outside of the +1/+1 counter allocation. Let me just make sure. I don't want to be lying
We
to you
have
guys.
another Valiant card that is kind of a toolbox effect. I'm trying to find it right now
Oh, no,
because
no,
it's one of the
I'm
earlier spoiled ones.
was it veteran guard mouse? Give me a
I
second.
think so.
Guard becomes the target of solo ability, gets +1/+1. Oh, and gains first strike. No, not that one. Target of spell gets
No,
+1/+1.
it was a rabbit, I think.
Ooh, this is almost like Valiant. It was a rabbit, you say?
I think it was a rabbit. I'll find the
Well,
card and then find out that it wasn't Valiant, and then I'll just say, "Oh, I'm dumb." Oh yeah, it's not Valiant. Never mind, I'm dumb.
heart, fire, and
Wait, no,
feather.
no, I'm not dumb. But it isn't Valiant. I was mixing it up with a Warren Warlord or a Warren War Leader. It's an Offspring card. It's when it attacks, choose one. Either make a 1/1 tapped attacking rabbit or buff all of your attackers.
Oh,
So I mixed it up.
that's okay. There's a couple Valiants here. I saw Morrow say on Twitter that Valiant was limited to once to make it more fun. His words, not mine. Right, more fun.
Nadu should have been Valiant. That would
Yeah.
have fixed so many problems.
So when do designers elect to make it 2 times per turn as opposed to 1? Like,
Yeah.
what is the fun ratio on it happening once to twice instead? I don't know. My dad always said 1 beer is good, but 2's even better, right? Or a 6-pack's good, but 12's even better. Moderation these days, but usually more is better. Usually more is way better. Hey, Victoria. Hey, Majra. I'm sure you're saying that to Victoria. Hey, everyone. So yeah, there's more Valiant here. Again, it varies, but this one's a +1/+1 counter as well. This one's a little different though. This is a card with Offspring and Valiant, so maybe this is the toolbox. Will, I'll just say this is the one you're referring to, Will. You can make multiples of this. And whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, mice you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So fire breathing in white.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, it's sick. The art from the set is sick. The theme from the set is sick. Like I'm really hyped for Bloomburrow, guys. If you can't tell, I hope you guys are as well. Because there's so much more to be spoiled. That's just killer from this set. So I'm excited for you guys to hear about everything. 2 times per creature. Yeah, once per creature is fine, but technically the same. Yes, I do actually believe they are printing legendaries with our end of the format in mind. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I would believe for Nadu, actually. Yeah. All right, Will. What's the next one we want to talk about? Porridge? Rummage?
We can do Forage because there's only 3 cards that mention Forage in the entire set so far. And we can go over that pretty quickly.
Do I know how to spell? Wait, yeah, I do know how to spell. Okay. I've got one right here that we can look at really quick, and it's a legendary.
Yep.
Camellia? Do you want to read it off?
Camellia is 1 a black and a green for a legendary creature, squirrel warlock with 3 power, 3 defense, menace, and other squirrels you control have menace. Can I just say I wish that they would simplify stuff like this down to squirrels you control have menace so that it's self-inclusive.
Yeah, I mean,
whenever,
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of why you would do it this way as opposed to the simpler way.
Confusion's sake, they don't want to confuse new players who say, "Well, it doesn't say that it gets menace; it says squirrels." Oh, but it does count itself. I feel like that's the reason why I think they've said that in the past. But whenever you sacrifice 1 or more foods, you create a 1/1 squirrel creature token, and you can pay 2 and forge. We're about to get into what Forge is in a second. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. To Forge, exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food. Yeah.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah, indeed. You just thin down your grave a tiny bit and then, or sack a food and then buff your stuff. Forge is an interesting mechanic. Depending on costs for forging stuff, it could be a very good mechanic. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be too useful or too well used. And we can kind of look into that with one of the other Forge cards.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, speaking of food, though, shout out to Jared if you're watching this. We played Burn Draft with a box of LOTR draft boosters. It was so damn fun. And easily my best deck was the white-green food deck I made. So food gets me pretty hyped, at least right now. And there's some recency bias here because of that, obviously.
Time for Patrick to build the Coca-Cola combo.
Well, I had a deck that included Took that wasn't as good. This was a Bill the Pony deck that was really good.
You build the pony OP. I called it. I called it. We has
I'm
the
not lying.
KCI infinite loop.
It was that shit, and then the humble hobbit or the nimble hobbit. It taps stuff down. It taps stuff down for food, and I had ways to get more food. Oh, so good. And don't forget Lamba spread as food. LOTR set was so fun, guys, and the
Lamba
draft boosters
spread-
are like pretty cheap.
Lamba Spread makes me so sad as a Magic the Gathering card because
Why?
I read it as better Elixir of Immortality, and then it
No.
wasn't, and it went from my most favorite card to my least favorite card from the set.
Sorry,
I was
man.
like, man, it's an elixir of immortality that auto sacks itself to do the whole shuffling effect. No. It shuffles itself and nothing else.
Oof. Well, I honestly don't mind that so much as a player. Like if you went for Simic Scry, Lamba Spread was pretty good. Like you could help shuffle up anything on top if you realize you don't need it anymore. At any rate, yeah, deck was really fun, and congrats to him. He pulled 3 Orcish Bowmasters from that box. No One Ring, but the Bowmasters go a long way.
Still gross.
I know, you got foil Bowmaster. It was the last pack of our first draft. I'm like, this one's going to be one of the good foils. And it was a foil Bowmaster. I'm like, yes. And then I didn't know he pulled like the alt art Bowmaster from his pack, which I never saw. And then later on we pulled another one. But at any rate, Corpseberry Cultivator? We want to talk about that
Sure,
one?
we can go over that because there's only 3, so we're going over all 3.
Yeah.
Corpseberry Cultivator is 1 Golgari for a creature squirrel warlock with 2 power and 3 toughness. At the beginning of combat, you may forage. Whenever you forage, you may put a +1/+1 counter on this. Makes itself bigger if you exile some stuff from your grave or sack of food. Not cEDH playable, but is a mechanic.
No, he loves his berries. He's having a
Indeed.
good time. He's having a good time.
But
Thornvolt Forager? I think this is the last one.
Thornvault Forager is one that is potentially cEDH playable. Thornvault Forager is 1 in the green for a creature squirrel ranger with 2 power and 2 toughness. You can tap it for a green, or you can tap it and forge to get 2 mana in any combination of colors. You can pay 3 in the green and search your library for a squirrel card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. The reusable tutor on this is amazing. The fact that it's just a straight up dork is amazing, and the fact that you can hit your graveyard a tiny bit or sacrifice some food to get mana fixing is really, really nice. This is kind of like a better Bloom Tender for 2 color, because Bloom Tender's at best tapping for 2 and this is at best tapping for 2.
We got 2 really good 2-cost mana dorks from this set.
Yeah, and this one is really good because if you're doing anything with Changeling, this finds the card you need. So this card has a good amount of potential. I don't know how many green decks care about Changelings. I think the only Changeling that green decks care about is the one that says you can ETB choose a creature type, you may cast creatures of that type from the top of your library. Something like that. That's probably the best Changeling in green. Tell me if I'm wrong, chat. There's probably something that I'm blatantly missing, but
yeah,
there always not a bad search effect stapled onto a playable dork.
No, this dork is amazing. But yeah, I agree. Good card. This is the best forager from the set so far that we've seen. There are a handful more keywords and mechanics we want to look at, though. I want to just punch them in here so it's a little bit easier to find. But what's the next one you want to cover, Will?
We can do Expend.
Okay. We have 2 left or 3 left at this point?
It's Expend and then the command effects, the paw commands.
Gotcha. So we've got 4 so far, at least on Scryfall. But I can take us through some of these really quick. We have Brambleguard Veteran for a generic and double green. It's a Raccoon Warrior, 3/4 body. Whenever you expend 4, raccoons you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. So Raccoon Tribal becoming a thing. May be good for when we get Marvel in universe and Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, let's go Rocket Tribal.
Right. I mean, is it weird? That's the first thing that came to mind for me.
You see, you can't do Raccoon Tribal with Rocket because there's nothing else like me.
Okay. Wait. Was that a reference?
Yeah, his
from
whole
the
thing
movie?
is it's like Oh, what's a raccoon? It's you. There's nothing else like me.
So expend is when you
When you
spend your
use your
fourth
blank
total mana.
mana,
Yeah.
yeah, to cast a
Yeah.
spell. Specifically to cast a spell. It does not care if you're activating abilities. It will not trigger off of you paying into your Thrasios or anything like that. It is when you use your nth mana to cast a spell.
So it's kind of cool because if you really read this card, it's a 3 for a 3/4 on the turn you play it, which is good. That's a good rate for a card. It doesn't do anything else. But then on your next turn, so you play your fourth land and then you play a 4-drop for turn. This is just it gets swole for the turn, but it gets swole and then you have it as a blocker. It's pretty solid, but obviously there are more expendable creatures here. I'll take a look at the legendary because I think this one's kind of interesting. Moira Trash Tactician for a generic in Gruul, Raccoon Warrior 2/4 body. At the beginning of your first main phase, so you won't get this as soon as you cast it. Add a red or green for each raccoon you control. More raccoon tribal. Whenever you expend 4, you gain 3 life. That's okay. Whenever you expend 8, exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of turn. Your next turn, rather, you may play those cards. So it's important to note that once you've expended 4 mana, you expending another 4 won't count towards that second effect, or same is true for expending 8 again, right? It's just the one time, because anything further is expend 9, expend 10, so on and so forth. Moira, we gonna do a tech on this one, Will?
Probably not. The Expend 8 is really hard to get to, and it is such a little benefit. It's Expend 8 to draw 2, and while yes, you're technically not paying any kind of cost to get that effect because you're using that 8 mana to do other things, that hurts. Getting to 8 sucks.
But you're gonna have a whole pack of raccoons, Will. I don't know how many raccoon offspring there are, but
Yeah, it's
maybe we
if
get there.
if Expend was not just spending mana for spells, Expend would be a decent effect.
What is the
It's
squirrel? Oh, what is the squirrel warlock? I'm sorry, Will. The squirrel warlock. Oh, I think I did a video on her today.
yeah, the hold on. Her name is I'm pulling her up right now. Hazel. Hazel of the Root
Well,
Bloom.
it's because I did a short on it, y'all. Here we can look at this last expender really quick to give you
So
guys this final
oh,
illustration.
no, sorry. The Hazel is the druid. I think that they were talking about the squirrel that we did cover, but we breezed past it.
Oh, is it bad? We can look at it again. Whenever
Uh,
you expend, put up with +1/+1 counter on this. Same thing. These have all been expend 4.
yeah, there is one
Obviously.
other card that didn't get pulled up for some reason when you search that up, but the effect is expend 4, discard your hand, and then draw 2 cards. And
Which
that
one is
one's
this?
it's a byway negotiator, something like that. It's on Scryfall. If you just look up Bloomburrow, it's one of the recently spoiled cards. So
Byway Barterer. That's weird. I
Barterer,
don't know
yeah.
why it didn't come up. But Byway Barterer, whenever you expend 4, you may discard your hand if you do draw 2 cards. That's pretty good.
So we have 4 Squirrel Warlocks that have been spoiled, and they're either talking about Camellia or Corpseberry Cultivator, because those are the only ones that we've actually gone over. There is one other Squirrel Warlock that I really, really like that's been spoiled, but it's not keyworded at all. And there's another one that people are very happy about, but isn't too great. But Camellia, so I think what might be, or what may be hinted at here is Camellia can combo, which kind of, yeah, if you turn your creatures into food, you can sacrifice them infinitely. Or if you use Took with Camellia, you can find some kind of food sacrifice engine that is not pay 2 and forage, and then you can make infinite squirrels. So the thing with Camellia is Camellia says if one or more food are sacrificed, then you make a squirrel. So you can't combo with specifically Took because you're sacrificing 3 food to Took to make 1 squirrel and 1 more food. So Camellia does not took combo, but Camellia has combos. There's a cat that got spoiled from the set as well that just says all creatures are food,
Mm-hmm.
and that works with the squirrel tokens. So you can do combos and loops with that.
I meant is two drop mono black squirrel. Can you float a
We
mana to expend? That
No.
is
So expending is when you spend that mana for a spell.
right.
So floating mana does not expend because you are not spending it on a spell. If they're talking about the 2 mana black squirrel, they're either talking about a Stereomancer or a Stereomancer Adept or Valley Root Caller, which are not keyworded, but we'll go over some relevant cards after this. Just anything that we probably saw that we liked.
Freshly spoiled from the Relentless. Just want to put
Yeah.
that on screen for you guys.
Grave hate your opponent's stuff and make some 1/1s. You make some rats that get very big very fast.
All right, Will. Last keyword to talk about. Hey, another tapped fish.
Gotta love tapped fish.
Gotta love tapped fish. I think I could just look up the word season in this set instead.
Yeah,
It's not a keyword, it's not a mechanic technically. It's just a new source of, I'm going to call it energy, but it's not energy.
it's energy, but it's hooked onto the spell instead of hooked onto the player.
Yeah, but you also keep, yeah, exactly, because you keep energy through the seasons, but you don't keep
Yeah.
paw prints through the seasons. And here's what I'm referring to. I think they've all been spoiled, but we're only getting 3 of them again for some reason.
I don't think they've all been spoiled.
All right,
I think that we haven't gotten the green one and we haven't gotten the white one publicly spoiled yet. I will double check that. But if you'd like to go over them while I try to find those two,
yeah.
go for it.
So, yep, we have black, red, and blue to cover, which is exactly 3 examples. But each season that we have is going to be costly, and they're all going to have more or less the same text at the top, if I'm not mistaken. They all give you choose up to 5 paws worth of modes. So it's podular. You may choose the same mode more than once. So again, like Will said, it's like recently where we got in Modern Horizons 3 cards that say gain X energy, use this energy for such and such. Except I don't know if any of those are modular. Let's stop making that comparison. These are paws, they're different. You can pay 1 paw, each player sacrifices a creature. You can pay 2 paws, draw a card for each creature you controlled that died this turn, right? So let me do the math. Oh, I can get each player to sacrifice 3 creatures, and I can draw 3 cards for each creature that died that I controlled. Dope. I could pay 3 paws. Each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of creatures in your graveyard. So, last effect's not my favorite. The first and the second effect are great, and I think they work well in tandem with one another. These are mythics from the set, so get hyped if you see them. I think in a casual setting that these will probably be better. I think for cEDH, I don't find them too appealing at 5. We usually like our mass removal to be like 4 and under, if possible. Ideally 3. But these are good. Season of the Bold, same story. You get up to 5 paws. Use them any which way you choose. Create tap treasures. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of turn. You may play them. That effect I really like. This one's kind of cute because it's just a really big piggy bank. If you just want to pay 5 for 5 on a later turn, you can do that. 3 paws until end of your next turn. Whenever you cast a spell, Season of the Bold deals 2 damage up to 1 target creature. Yes, sorcery speed, yes. Spree, it's very similar to Spree, I suppose you could say. Except Spree was plus modular. You had to play... If you just put a card with Spree on the stack and didn't choose any of the other things, I don't think the card would do anything. Like, none of the Spree cards...
You had to choose a mode for Spree, though.
So you're forced, okay.
Choose 1 or more.
Oh, I wanna cast it for nothing. I just want to put the card on the stack.
I want to get my storm count up. Why won't you let me?
Exactly. Last effect here is 3 paws until the end of your next turn. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that already. It's okay, not my favorite. They're mythic because they're good for a limited standard. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
These are great in that situation. Again, for us and constructed as namely commander, not so much, but I suppose Red was answering Joe there. Hey guys. And the last one we can look at is Season of Weaving for 4 generic and double blue. Choose up to 5 pause worth of modes. You may choose the same mode more than once. Draw a card. Probably that. Choose an artifact or creature you control. Create a token that's a copy of it. If I was playing casual, my thing would be like, hey guys, I just want to get back in the game. Do you mind, like, hey, can everyone, like, I won't attack anyone this turn, but can everyone let me just resolve this spell? And like, yeah, okay, it's cool. I just draw 6 cards or 5 cards over you. That'd be amazing. And who am I playing where I can copy this effect? At any rate, return each non-land token permanent to its owner's hand. So the 3 pauses, pretty tight. This one's not so bad. Season of Weaving. Spree adjacent, yes.
So my take on the 3 of these, Season of Loss is either a board wipe, or if you've done a couple sacrifice effects, is a massive draw for what your deck wants to do, and potentially way to kill players. I doubt you are ever getting it up to 40, but if you can loop it, you can loop it to kill people. But going like 1/2/2 for Season of Loss means that if you sacked 3 things, let's say you're playing, I'll give an example of Kaikar, even though it's not the right colors. If you're playing a commander where you get value in sacking stuff to keep going, Yawgmoth, heck to it, Yawgmoth. You'll usually have like 5 things in the graveyard. You use Season of Loss, sacrifice a 6th thing, and then draw 12. So it's 5 mana, draw 12. That's pretty good, but only in very specific decks. Season of the Bold, the second and third mode are relatively useful for a couple different things, but paying 5 into the first mode just to get a Magda activation is something I think we are actually going to see every now and then.
Right.
And then
someone's saying Red Spectre is saying, or no, someone else said it. Mateus is saying TB is good for Magda activation.
Yeah. Agreed. It's pay 5, activate Magda, which is get any artifact from your deck into play. People play Tezzeret. People play that form, the 5 mana blue Tezzeret. That's the exact same thing. It's playable. It is definitely playable.
I would say it's playable. I would say it's playable for that alone. If only for Magda right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, Season of Weaving, you could combo with the Dualcaster Mage, because if you do 1/2/2, you can make as many copies as you can of a rock on your board and Dualcaster Mage and draw your deck. So I no one's playing Season of Weaving in cEDH, but it is very dumb and casual. And Osteomancer Adept is the card that was being brought up before, which we can get to probably right now, actually. If you have any notable things you want to bring up from the set, Patrick, any cards that you think are cool and would like to talk about.
No, I mean, I want to talk about them with you guys in a future stream. So we're going to do definitely a set review for this one. We're going to cover every single card outside of the legendaries. And then, of course, we'll do a legendary tier list because they're just fun to do. And I'd like to think that we were kind of on the cutting edge for a Magic legendary tier list. I didn't see that many people doing them with regularity like us, so stay here for that. I don't know why I need to take claim on that. We're a tier list channel now. Ugh. I mean, it's honestly fun, and it's also great to see when we're right, because Nadu, we were so right with Nadu. But I'm really just in it for that weeping Naru. Okay.
It's really funny because I think everybody saw Nadu, including us, and said, "Wow, that card is just kind of okay." And
Mateus
then
really
people
hammered it, by the way.
people thought about it for a second and then realized, oh, that's actually pretty good. And people play tested it and realized, oh, this is a problem. So I think that is everybody's collective path of going through this, because most people read it and were like, okay, it's heroic. Target a spell on this, whatever. Then we went, oh, equipment are a thing that exists. This is probably very playable. Probably not S tier, but maybe like A to B. Then people went again and said, oh, you can draw your deck without going infinite.
Yeah, it's the 3 stages of Nadu, right?
Yeah.
The first is the first activation on Nadu. You're like, oh, this is okay. and then you do it again, and you're like, oh wait, I guess I got my
No,
Shuko.
no. The 5 stages of Nadu, and I'm gonna call it right now.
Okay.
Mid card. Oh, it actually does stuff. Oh my gosh, this card is a problem. Ban the card. I miss Nadu. The 5 stages of Nadu.
Right.
Calling it right now.
I don't know how many people will actually miss it. We'll see.
The
But
people who play are gonna miss it. It's such a fun deck, but
yeah.
it is so disgusting.
So I want to look at just at least for the next couple of minutes here. I want to close this one out around 8. Again, keep me honest, gang. I'm making dinner in a second. The Steelmancer Adept was brought up for a generic and a black Squirrel Warlock Death Touch. Tap until end of turn. You may cast creature spells from your graveyard by foraging.
It does have Forage. Oh, it's because I typed up Forage, not foraging.
In addition to their cost. If you cast a spell this way, that creature enters with a finality counter. We've definitely talked about this card, Will. So foraging again is you sacrifice a food or you exile 3 cards from your graveyard. It's always one of those two things. This is good.
Yeah, it's slow. It's slow Underworld Breach. That is how I describe this card because it's literally 2 mana. Once per turn, you can cast a creature from your graveyard by exiling 3 things from your graveyard, and then it has a finality counter on it.
It's pretty selective, but yeah.
It's much worse Underworld Breach, but it's still like a slow Underworld Breach. And if Luris has taught us anything, that is good enough.
This is pretty solid. I don't know what decks it makes its way into. A Tayam, I think, was suggested. But yeah, it's a pretty solid card.
The reason why it's playable in Tayam is because it has a finality counter on it, and you can remove the counter and sack the thing to get the thing back and keep going. That's funny. The
last card that was brought up was Infamous Cruelclaw. And guys, if there's anything else you want to see, just let us know.
We did a short on this already, and we brought up both the joke deck and the serious deck.
People are like, well, how do you cast Thassa's Oracle off of Praetor's Grasp?
Praetor's Grasp.
But no. But how do you cast it off of it, right? Because you still need to
true.
pay blue mana. I'm saying
don't worry, you have City of Brass. You have City of Brass. You can try to make it work.
Gemstone Mines. you got
City of Brass, Mana Confluence, Gemstone Mines, a couple different lands that just tap for any color but at a crappy cost.
There's that bad Kamigawa land that like enters with like a token. What's it called? That's also
are you talking about a Forbidden Orchard or
no?
Oh no, you're talking about the I know you're talking about the one that enters with the charge counter. Yeah.
I'm right.
There's a couple different Wooburg lands that you can play to do it. It's a very bad deck, but I think it is the most concise you can make a deck.
Yeah.
That like of lands. Like it is the highest land count that you can make for an actual functional deck right now.
Yeah. Right, so don't kill the dream, people. I don't know. People were naysayers in the chat of that short video. Please, after this, go over there and let them know about Rainbow Lands. Let them know about all of the ways you can cast 2 blue in a Rakdos list. But Tendo Ice Bridge, I'm so proud of myself for remembering that. This is one of my favorite Rainbow Lands for a long time. It's just a cool budget Rainbow Land. But there's a ton of these. So you could run a bunch of these and just mull till you have at least 2 Rainbow Lands. Okay, geez.
Yeah, and Red Scepter. The reason why you can't run Mox Diamond in that deck is because it's a 98 land deck. And it is just Praetor's Grasp and Infamous Cruelclaw, because Infamous Cruelclaw is functionally a Tainted Pact if you're running all lands. So you Tainted Pact for Praetor's Grasp, then next turn, Praetor's Grasp, Tainted Pact your entire deck away, and then play your opponent's Thoracle. That's the very dumb deck idea.
You're right. But mind you, there's obviously some hiccups. If they're holding Thassa's Oracle, and they're also holding their own Praetor's Grasp. Again, these are common cards typically, but they might not be seen. You can shaft yourself pretty easily here. Hopefully you will have solutions. But like the worst of it is if they are holding Thassa's Oracle, or they just simply don't run Thassa's Oracle, which would be unbelievable in a blue cEDH list. But again, we're just talking about the meme and we haven't even read off the card. I'm just going to get to the juicy part. Whenever Infamous Cruelclaw deals combat damage to a player, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. That feels like a really good trade. And it's a May, so if you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you're looking at this, it just reads like a really good value mander, right? So any top deck tutor you elect to play in this list, even what is it, Scheming Symmetry, right? Just put that on top. Your opponent gets to see the thing before you do. Nah, they don't. They don't. You just pop off like right there and then. Any top
They
deck
don't
tutor,
even see the thing. They're dead that turn. They don't get to see it.
yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, like, if you've built this right, and most of these Rakdos go really fast lists to do the thing quickly, I think you could turn one Infamous Cruelclaw pretty easily in Rakdos, and then turn two pop off with a top deck tutor. I think that this list can be very fast. You can play it a few different ways, honestly, but I see this being more of like a turbo value mander than I would want to run this as like a controller stacks list. Anything else like that? I don't know.
Yeah. And somebody's bringing up you can do the Turbo Sickening Dreams deck and replace cEDH with Infamous Cruelclaw. Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's kind of sick.
there's a lot of funny things with Cruelclaw. It's basically better Nashi because Nashi is the mono black ninjutsu commander that when Nashi deals damage to a player, exile the top card of each player's library, and until the end of the turn, you may play one of those cards in paid life rather than its mana cost. So you'd almost always choose your card, and you do turn one Nashi with a Dark Ritual, turn two if somebody doesn't have a blocker, swing connect before with the ability on the stack Vampiric Tutor Hida to the top, then win the game. Hard to do that without any evasion. Cruelclaw has Menace. Cruelclaw also will always hit a non-land permanent for you, so you can use Cruelclaw for just extra value. And Rakdos. So you're in more colors and you can do more things. Granted, I feel like you're going to use red more so for like outlets or win cons than cards that you're searching for, because I think you're searching for the big dumb mono black cards. But yeah, Cruelclaw has a lot of potential.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I think that there's going to be some fun builds for Cruelclaw. Probably one of my favorite Rakdos leaders to date. It's just a cool... I really like this original art for it. I just switched to the new one because I think it was just spoiled for you guys, but this is the one that's in the video. So sick. His expression's so good. I haven't watched any of the animated teasers. I don't know why I haven't yet, but all of the shorts are like the tidbits I've seen from it. Like, all their marketing for the set has been so good. Props to Wizards on the set. I think it's a banger. Definitely hope it's successful, and I am excited to play the crap out of it. Yeah, I can't say much more, but I want to play the heck out of this set. Very, very excited to see you guys, like, your opinions on it once it fully releases. Nashi with Ornithopter.
Yeah, you just attack with Ornithopter and Ninjutsu and Nashi.
All right, guys, so that's it for this one. Shorter one today, but I hope you're clued in on everything you need to know so far as new keywords and mechanics from the set. Again, stay tuned for tomorrow. There should be an FNM going up in the morning or the early afternoon. I'll try to set it up tonight, honestly, if I'm able to. And then we'll be getting together to play some games of Commander. I don't have everything yet, Will, so I will need to, like, in paper make some stand-ins. But I'm going to be bringing Oswald, obviously, to SCG Con. If you guys are attending the SCG Con in Baltimore, Maryland, I'll be personally playing in the Sunday cEDH event because there's a One Piece event that's happening on Saturday that I really want to do. So the main cEDH event, I believe, is also Saturday at that same time slot, but I'll be hanging out the whole time. So if you're there and you want to play, you see me, please let me know. I'll have One Piece and Magic on hand. And Will told me he'll let me play as casual decks. So if you only bring casual...
I got 3 on me right now, and I might try to build 2 more before the con, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have the time to do that, because it's going to probably take more than 2 weeks to get a new deck set up, so I wouldn't count on it, but I'll try.
Salamandastron, what is that? Salamandastron. Oh, you wish you could be there? Well, wish us luck instead. You can be at the FNM. Again, we're going to be playing a lot of games leading up to the event, so hang out. We should be streaming them. We may do some privately. I don't know. No pressure there, Will. But I definitely want to get as much practice in with Oswald as possible. I've shifted a lot of cards around. We could probably talk about this later, but I think it has a good chance. But I play it very aggressively, and it's hard to be aggressive in mono white. So you mull down to some pretty bad hands sometimes, but we'll get there. We will win. I want to win for mono white in America, okay? Not Japan, America. I did hear
Not
about
playing Jeskai, but Murica.
America. Tonight would be great. Tonight would be great for no, I gotta make a turkey.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
tomorrow.
Dinner.
I think we're trying to do a
Oh.
stream, and I'm trying to get
Oh,
4.
sorry. You're good. You're good. I'm sorry. Victoria just answered my question.
But I'm trying to get 4 a pot of 4 to go ahead, and then we can have viewers hop in as people need to take breaks if viewers do want to hop in, because we've had issues with trying to get viewers to hop in to fill all 4 slots. So I figured I'm gonna get my gang together and see if I can get people from my play group to be our 4-man.
Yes. But stay tuned for that, guys. We'll see you more in the future for Bloomburrow, obviously. Expect some more shorts here on the channel, so if you enjoy those, you'll get more of them. But yeah, bye-bye for now. See ya. Ciao.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Every time I say bye-bye, I think of Chase the Bro here on YouTube. I don't play Elden Ring anymore, but this guy, he just plays all the Souls games. He's been playing them for a while and streaming them, but he's like a really good player and honestly like a really sweet guy. At least he seems that way. I don't know him personally, but his content is very, very good. Chase the Bro. Watch Chase if you're on YouTube. Clearly you are.
Every time you say bye bye, for some reason it makes me think of